Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages and denominations, welcome to the wrestling show that puts you in the know. Loudmouth presents Off the Top Rope. Now, of course, before the show begins, you know what to do. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms. WAWSA on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And Puma Kappa TV on all those social media platforms. And of course, your boy the Loudmouth on the Loudmouth Appreciation Society on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Now, following up season 2, we are going to be delving into more of the guys that were around when WWP Thunderstruck was on TV. And of course, one of the legends of that show and one of the mainstays of South African wrestling is the Boersien. Now, if you do not know the Boersien himself, he is, I hesitate to say the word a living legend because he's right here in front of us. But when it came to one of the most popular wrestlers on TV and in South Africa in general, this man had the crowd absolutely eating out of the palm of his hands. After the break, WAWSA and the Loudmouth present the Boersien. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Before we begin our interview, of course, follow us on all our social medias. WAWSA on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And Puma Kappa TV on all the social medias. And of course, the Loudmouth. During the heydays of WWP Thunderstruck, there was the most over character that you could ever find. A young man with blonde hair, a great smile, and just one of the best attitudes that you can find anywhere. It helps, though, that the guy is one of the friendliest people you will ever meet. Boersien, welcome to Off the Top Rope.
What a privilege. After all these years coming back, speaking to the legend himself, the Loudmouth. That's really a privilege. Thank you for having me on the show. That's good.
You are most welcome. I'm unfortunately a lifetime in my own legend, but you, sir, are a legend.
Yeah, but
in your
it's...
lifetime.
No, but it's out of your mouth. I'm not going to call myself a legend. I think I just do what I have to do for the grade of the sport and try not to be bigger than the sport. So I think, thank you. It's great to be back again, and I'm looking forward. For a while, I wasn't involved with wrestling, so I was actually not involved with the new guys, so I don't know most of the new guys in the wrestling, so it's going to be also a privilege to meet all the young upcoming wrestlers that do it for the love of the sport. So I'm looking forward for Wrestle Monster in Port Elizabeth. So that's going to be a big thing for me as well to come back. I hope the body will take it still. So but I'm training. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. You will just see when I'm there. The mind is. You must always remember. That's the thing that I actually always tell people is when you go into the ring or before the ring into the restrooms there where you're warming up and you start getting yourself psyched up, then you get it. The mind is always stronger than the body.
Sure.
That's the thing. Yeah. So that's the thing. So I hope this is going to work. I hope this is going to work now for me as well.
I want to give the people a bit of a history lesson when it comes to the Boersien because, Thunderstruck was a fantastic vehicle for you. And a lot of people know you still from those days, even though it was more than 10 years ago. And when it came to one of the most beloved wrestlers, it was you, it was Skull, it was Tornado, and a few other guys.
Yes,
that personality of yours, how much of it was the Boersien and how much of it was the person behind the wrestling character?
You know what? I think there wasn't much a difference. So always try to keep it clean. That's how it is. Try to do the best I can do. I think I will always be like a Boersien. I think I was. That was always like the character into the wrestling. That's for me to be recognized as the Boersien always, or to be there for the people. You know what? I actually always say that's for your people. I was wrestling for my people. I think that's the thing. And I remember I used to wrestle with a lot of legends before Thunderstrike in the days actually. So yeah, it was a privilege to go all around to the. You remember all the Platteland and stuff like
I
that,
remember.
where you used to wrestle and with the grand shows, for the grand shows, and the Tannie were always giving you Cook Sisters, and you were really the big hero into there actually. For their children and the small children, and I think that's me. You know what? I love people, and still today to go out and to greet and meet people and to give them the love that it is, and to especially the young boys to tell them, you know what? Remember, you don't have to be bullied. You are a hero in yourself, and you need to find who you are in yourself. So yeah, there isn't much of a difference between a Boesian and the real guy behind it. Yeah, so. Mm.
We earlier in the first season, we took your match with Blacksmith, Trevor van der Westhuizen, and we showed it to some of our trainees, especially because of the match of the bigger guy versus the smaller guy. And when I looked at Thunderstrike as a whole, you really were a central character in a lot of the storylines that pushed WWP Thunderstrike forward. When it came to those storylines, was there ever a storyline where you turned around and said, "I'm really not comfortable with this. Can we try something else?" Or were you the type of wrestler that said, "Okay, I've got this material. I'm going to make of it the best that I can"?
I don't think there was ever a wrestle match that was actually uncomfortable, but yeah, I remember the day when I was actually with the Blacksmith in the ring. So it was a big build up with him and his brother Woodcarver. So
Yes.
I didn't know what to expect with the two. So yeah, when the Blacksmith was actually coming out, it was like it was reminding me of about David and Galola,
Yeah.
and when he was in the ring, and I was looking, where is this guy? And meantime, the little midget was right in front of me, you know what? So that was a little bit awkward, this big guy against the small guy, but yeah, it was a great match. He's a great wrestler all these years. That guy's a great wrestler and I mean a wrestler. And so yeah, it was one of my best matches ever. So I think he deserves it, and he was good for what he was. If I can remember right, and you must help me. I was wrestled for the Kibelon,
Yes.
and I don't know what was their group's name. I can't remember their group's name, and he was the champ there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was also at the Kibelon, and we was fighting for the belt there. So yeah, and then his brother actually interfered. So yeah, it was actually for me. I was very angry that day when he actually came behind me and take me into a schoolboy, the old wrestling trick from there, and he won me there. So yeah, so I owe him one, and I think maybe is he going to be involved in the Wrestle Monster MP? I think I need to give him a big hiding there. So I hope I'm going to see him there.
He
Yeah.
he's definitely going to be there. I don't know. He's had his knees replaced. He's had knee replacement surgery on his knees. And once you've had that,
So
once you've had
he's
that done,
shorter than he is at the moment.
well, it took a few inches off. So, now he's
Yeah. Okay.
recognized
No,
as
that's
the
not going to help.
as the world's the world's tallest midget. Beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Nups.
Yeah,
That that,
but
that
let me tell you,
Sure.
I think if you look at Thunderstrike itself, I think that was a really give the two brothers the credit, and I think the character that was actually built around the Blacksmith and the Woodcarver, that was great. I think it was one of the best, and it was really from my side a privilege to wrestle against them, and so yeah. That's one of the best ever I had, yeah. So that's great, yeah.
Okay. Um, we're gonna pause for a break here quickly, just to pay the bills and things like that. Afterwards, I want to talk about that anger thing of yours because as long as we've been known each other and been on the road and things like that, I think I've maybe ever seen you angry once. So after the break, we're just going to talk about that, and then we're going to go on to a few other things. We talk about some of the road trips we've been on and things like that. So guys, stay with us, and then after the break, more with the Boosian. Welcome back from the break. Guys, we have got one of the nicest people in professional wrestling in South Africa, the Boerseun. Now, before the break, we spoke about the nice guy and the matches and things like that. But let's talk about the other side of it, because as I mentioned, I've only seen the Boerseun angry maybe once or twice. Now, Naps, when we were touring and things like that, we had our fun, and it was mischievous, and we had great matches, and you had a great times with other guys and things like that. And as I mentioned, I've only seen you angry a handful of times. Which wrestler has made you the angriest, either inside the ring or outside the ring?
I think the angriest I was ever was for Steve Eden
Hmm.
in Durban. Yeah, so yeah, I remember that. He's a good friend of mine, but he was actually I wrestled against him in a full stadium in Durban, and so yeah, he actually just make a return back. I couldn't remember if it was coming from an injury or whatsoever. So
Hmm.
yeah, we was actually wrestling, but he wasn't prepared for the wrestling match, and yeah, he wasn't fit, and he was heavy, and yeah, so that was one of my worst matches ever. So I was lekker de moering, to be honest with you, that night. So I went out of the ring. So I said to him, never ever do that again. If you're not fit or you're not ready to wrestle, you don't get into a ring. And I think if I can recall that, I think that was, that's one of the things that's still in my mind. So yeah, that was basically one of the things. Yeah, that was
Okay,
it.
okay. Because, you know, let's talk about the fitness thing, because obviously it's different for a guy like me that, you know, is not as tall as the other guys. You have to work a little bit harder, and things like that. Whereas some of the other guys, like for example, Ananzu, you mentioned Steve Eden, or Alicia or TJ Tremor, are really athletic guys. They're naturally athletic. They naturally got the gas tank. Um, with you being as big as you are, and there's the sports that came before it, the rugby and everything before it. There's a difference between being wrestling fit and being fit for other sports. Was it easier for you being 2 meters tall and 120 kilograms to keep your fitness up?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's the most important thing is to keep your fitness up. Is also like I said, like I mentioned before, is to get yourself. It's still in life today the same. You need to discipline yourself. You need to. I'm a morning person, so when I go to the gym, I go in the morning. I can't really go in the night times. But when I was younger, I actually gymmed twice a day. So, but now I'm just going occasionally, or I'm going more in the morning. So yeah, so you need to discipline yourself to work onto your fitness levels and get yourself strong,
Mhm.
and start doing road work. So in every sport you need to be fit. Doesn't matter what it is. Every sport fitness level is different. Like for me, I'm still playing a lot of golf, so you need to stretch a lot, need to make your lower back strong, your core strong, and stuff like that. So I'm walking a lot. So yeah. So I'm starting now to when I got the invitation to go back to the wrestling or to go and wrestle. So I need to improve onto the wrestling fitness again. So now I need to do more power work and stuff like that. So yeah, get your cardio up, get your fitness level up, because you know what, just not for yourself, but you must remember the wrestler that you wrestle against. You must also looking after his life and
Right.
his body and stuff like that. So it's very important to commit yourself into a thing, discipline yourself, always discipline yourself, even if you don't feel like it, you need to do it. That's unfortunately one of the things. So it's very important to look after yourself, look after the wrestler that the wrestler that you wrestle against, and yeah. So it's not always lucky. You're not always, especially when you're getting older in the winter times, to go and exercise. But
Sure.
that's where the mindset getting in and the fitness level and the discipline and stuff like that. So, and that's always winning. So
Mhm.
when you finish wrestling, you're getting out of the ring. So you will always know that you gave your best, and that's basically how it is. So it's very important, yeah. So for me, just to rock up at the wrestle match, never train and stuff. So I need to get somewhere in Joburg just to go to a ring and just to hit the ropes again and stuff like that. Or
Sure.
yeah, but it's like bicycle, but you still need to exercise. Even I can't remember when last. I think I was last in the ring in 2019. Yeah, so I need to get back into the ring as well. So it's very important to do that. So you need to exercise and look after yourself. It's very, very important to look after the fitness, and yeah, that's basically what it is.
Now, if I may ask now, you are late 40s,
I'm turning 51 now.
turning
Close to
51.
51.
Yeah, you look better than me, and I'm still 44. Go figure. Now,
Yeah,
at the
I'm going
age,
to tell you, I'm 50. I'm going for 50. Yeah, yeah. So but I'm feeling good. I'm telling you now. Still, actually, I'm not a person who like to sit still. I'm still, active in my ways and stuff like that. So I need to be. Yeah, I've got like a little boopy more still now, but I'm gonna work it off going onto the diet and stuff. So you need to do that. So yeah, for the sport, it's very important. What like I said, Donovan, the best thing is that there's always people looking up at you and how you act and react and stuff like that. So that's very important to do that. And yeah, so it's good to do that. So it's a mind shift to know that I'm going there. So I need to do my planning. I see I've got so many weeks, so I need to put effort in, do more. It's going to take a hard little work. You know what? Do some sprint work from the one lamppost to the another one, walk one, sprint one. So just to get that fitness level up and then do more power work and stuff. Yeah. So that's very important. You need to do it. That's very important to do. And look after yourself, what you're eating as well. So yeah.
right. Now,
Los die sweeties en die koeldrank,
no, don't be like that now, man. Yeah, don't be
Yeah.
like that.
Only Sundays. Only
Yeah,
Sundays
only
you will have to
Sundays.
do that.
Every
Yeah,
every
only
every
Sundays, yeah.
every day that ends in a Y.
In a while, yeah.
Now,
Every day.
yeah, Nups, we've traveled a bit together. Not a lot, not a lot. But we haven't gone into the ring. We haven't worked a one-on-one match. We've been involved in tag matches and things like that. Um, being around as long as you did, was there ever a wrestler that you looked at and you thought, man, I wish I could have gotten into the ring with that guy, especially on TV?
Like overseas.
Well, do local and overseas. Do local and overseas.
Okay. Let's start with the overseas wrestlers. I think there was like about two guys that I would really love to go in the ring with. And that was Diesel. You remember Diesel?
Yeah.
And the Undertaker. I think
Right.
also because that's like two big tall guys. I think you can learn a lot from them and so on. I think that's more my old school type of wrestling.
Right.
And then in South Africa, yeah, I wrestled against and I knew a lot of people, and I was in a ring with a lot of people. But yeah, who can I actually say it? I think it was yes, I can't with you. I think with you to wrestle with. Let's call you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think Phew, I can't remember now. Really, to be honest, I actually wrestled. You know what? If you look at the same tall guys like me and weight division and good guys that actually basically you can look him in the eye. I really would love to say if we could ever make a tag team match and wrestle maybe for a year against that's Sean Koen.
Right.
Sean Koen. Okay, can I tell you a story about Sean Koen?
Sure, please, by all
Ever
means.
met a South African wrestler that is so strong, naturally strong like that guy? I wrestled him the one Wednesday night. He flew me down to Cape Town, so I wrestled against him the night in the Good Hope Center. I think it was the Good Hope Center or the Paro Center, the Cape Town. I don't know. Always in the middle of the week. I can't believe that you're always getting a full house there. But that night it was especially extra full. So here, yes, they calling me out to the ring first, and here comes the crowd's favorite, the Cape Town Sean Koen out, and he was psyched up. And as he came out from the restrooms, I thought by myself, oh gosh, here comes Groot Kak. I can see it. You can just see it when he comes out there and he was shaking and stuff. Long story short, so we in the ring and he threw me to the ropes and I was jumping into him like a gorilla and he actually took me up like that and he pressing me and I was like 130 kilos. You must remember that I was in that time 130. He presses me behind and he was holding me there and here I am and I thought by myself, okay, hello Sean, are you going to put me down sometimes?
Yeah.
And he came down and I must tell you, that was the hardest I ever fall. That was the hardest, but strong. No,
Yeah.
I think, power-wise, a big guy, Sean Koen.
Okay. So
I would love to wrestle against him more. I think that's one of the best things that I can tell you.
yeah. A
Um,
lot of people rate Sean Kun as one of the most underrated and underappreciated wrestlers in South Africa. And I think if there was ever a wrestler from South Africa that could have made it at any stage in the big leagues in WWE or anything like that, it probably would have been him.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I remember many years ago. I wrestled him at the old Marula Sun. I don't know if you can remember that
Yeah.
casino there
I
in
remember all of that.
Botswana. So I wrestled him there. So I must tell you, that time he was also fit. It was you can't believe that a big guy like that is actually moving so fast and just his natural power that he's got. And you know what? I must tell you one thing about Sean Koen. He's the most humble guy that I ever met in my life in wrestle. He looked after the guys and he looked after his wrestlers but humble. Really, he's really humble. Look after you and. Yeah, so I need to tell you, I think I totally agree with you. If that's one guy that will ever made it overseas, that was him.
Right.
Yeah, he's underrated in South Africa, but for me, number one rated. Yeah, he and Steve Davis, I think that's for the love of the sport that I actually gave. And then the younger generation, Ananzi, you yourself, all those, the love for the sport that you have. Yeah, so yeah, I must tell you, there's a lot of guys. I think if we had opportunities and stuff like that and sponsorships that would have made it, there's a lot of South Africans that I think that will make it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We're going to take a short break quickly. And then after the break, we're going to talk about now Wrestle Monster coming up and your preparation for there. And then we're going to, I mentioned this when I spoke to the Crow, but I'm going to remind you of a very, very infamous wrestling show between some of the wrestlers and get your side of it. After the break, guys, stay tuned. Welcome back. As mentioned, we're speaking to Bursin here, and we mentioned it with the Crow when we were doing his episodes, and I'm gonna get the other perspective of it. Now, we wrestled in Klerksdorp, and we were wrestling in the parking lot at Checkers in Klerksdorp, and they were doing the championship Boerewors.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Crow and I were talking about it, and it was probably the most distracted wrestlers have ever been during a wrestling match that I've ever seen. Now, you've wrestled at shows where you're wrestling next to the bars and you're wrestling with barkers and things like that, and the crowd's involved and things like that. But this was the one where the Boerewors that they were cooking was probably the most distracting thing that I've ever encountered in professional wrestling, and it was probably the worst thing ever. It was probably the worst thing ever.
That like the smell of the Boerewors next to the ring. Oh my God, yes. Yeah. I think it was because one of the champs they were the champs of the Boerewors that time. It was a big, that was a big show. I remember that. That was really great. I remember that. Yeah, I don't know how long back it was, but yes, I can remember the smell and the braai vlees or the Boerewors that was braaiing there. And here we're standing, and the more you're standing and you wait at your turn, the the more you're getting hungry for that lekker boerewors, you know. So yeah.
Now I don't know if you remember, but we did the tag match at the end, and
Yes.
Crow and I were on one side, and Ewan and Nunzi and all of that were on the other side, and you had Crow in a choke slam on the one side, and you choke slammed. I think it was either a choke slam or a power bomb, and you put him down on one of those bales of hay, and the
Yes,
bale
I
of the
think it was
you,
I think it was, yeah. I think it
yeah,
was a power bomb. I can't remember, or choke slam, yeah.
and
On the
you put
bale.
yeah you put him through this bale. Now the other bales had been tied with the metal around there, so they were all stiff. This one,
Yes.
however, was not. It did not have the wire around it. And man alive, when you power bombed him through that bale of hay, there was just no support there. That bale of hay just exploded. Did you ever, after you hit that move, did you ever go to the Crow and say, "Hey, listen, yeah, Akers Yammer, I thought there was going to be more support for you there," or did you just look at him and go, "Oh, well, that's part of the game"?
You know what? You know how many times actually I fight the Crow, and afterwards I said ek is jammer because but he doesn't want to hear it, because you know what? I think the harder you go in with Crow, the more he likes it. So
Yeah.
sometimes you throw him into a table and another table, and you bend all the tables of the Kerk Bazaars or from the Checkers Boerewors or the Hells and stuff, and then he tells you, I want to go more. I
Mm.
don't know what was really wrong with the Crow, but yeah, yes, that man can take pain. Yo,
Mm.
I remember also the one time, and then the next year we went back to Klerksdorp, and I don't know what happened, but he had some stitches in his head, and I think that was the time when I was putting I saw the video that was the table was against the top rope of one of the corner poles,
Mhm.
so he had some stitches, and then one of the oaks out of the crowd came with a broomstick and broke a broomstick over his back, and yes, I was actually feeling sorry for him, you know what? So yeah, that he's still alive today, that's a miracle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that guy. And then the other thing is, I must tell you, I remember when he was actually going hard on myself when we did the hardcore matches, especially in Brakpan. Yeah, so I had so many times. You must listen to me, Donovan. When I came back home and I had a lekker shower and stuff like that, and then I had some concussion
Mm.
with the Crow, with his computer boxes and his table, and so yeah, that's one thing. I don't think I will go back, even if they pay me how many money is the hardcore matches. I think I'd rather stick with the normal old school wrestling for now.
Yeah, and then I look at it on the other side, Nubs, and then how can I say this? The more challenging the match, you seem to raise your game to another level. I mean, I remember that cage match in I think it was Springs with with
Dreams, yeah.
with you and Nunzi. I was commentating that day, and I'd seen you wrestle many times, but just the level of athleticism you put through in that cage match specifically, you know, a lot of guys will look at that and go, yeah, well, he doesn't need to do that. But then when you do it, people seem to be shocked at the
Yeah.
at the, that level of athleticism, and we know that there's levels you go through to do the matches and things like that. Is it easier to raise your game to one of those matches than it is to just do a normal standard match? Or is it one of those things where you're like, well, this isn't going to happen very often. I might as well just go all out.
You know, I think that first of all, that actually that day or that time when we actually, or that night when we did the cage match, and I think that was the first cage match ever back in South Africa after how many years. So
Yeah.
I didn't actually know what to expect going into the cage match that night. And you must remember Nandi looking at his best, young wrestler, very fit. Luckily, I was also fit. I think the level of fitness that time actually helped us through. So the more we wrestle against each other, the more actually when we in in the cage and the wrestling, the more we start enjoying it. I think that was the more, I think that was getting us both excited because we enjoy it really. I wanted to tell you, and nobody knows it about it, but I actually broke two of my teeth that night. So
Wow.
that's how hard we went into the thing, you know. And I think Anansi also, yeah. And afterwards, I think for 3 days I couldn't really walk like that. So I had so much pain after that. But yeah, myself and Anansi. So I wanted to tell you, we put our body onto the spell for that. And the only thing is that I would really love to do that cage match in front of a full house, like a big crowd. So there wasn't much people there. There was a lot of people today, but
Yeah.
I think if we could do it in front of a crowd about of 1,000, I think that would be more lekker, you know, to psych us up in the crowd. You know, I want to tell you one thing. You wrestle lekker in the ring, but the crowd is making it. It's all the crowd, you know. How you do and how you psych up the crowd, the more you psych up the crowd. And I think that was actually going for that. So, and that is what was helping us to extend this fight, because it was a long fight. I think it was just under an hour or something like that, if I
It
can
was long.
remember
It
right.
was long.
Yeah, it was a long, you know. So yeah, you wanted to go over, I want to go over, and we didn't make it. So yeah. But maybe one day we will go back, especially if the Goga bites me now again, you know.
Yeah, I get you. I get
So
you.
we will see.
Which is the match that you are most proud of when you look back on your career? Which is a match you're most proud of?
I think that one. And then about two against Sean Kuhn as well. Yeah, there was one in Swaziland that I wrestled Sean Kuhn at his brother's lodge. That was a big festival. So there was for 5,000 plus people for that weekend.
Right.
So I think that was people didn't see it here, but I remember. You remember the Hammer? You went with.
Yeah.
He went with me to Swaziland against Sean and the Cape Town guys. So yeah, that was. I think the cage match against Anansi was one, and then the one in Swaziland against Sean Kuhn, and one in Cape Town against Sean Kuhn. Always Cape Town is always is always a lekker place to wrestle.
Yeah. I did have a chance to wrestle there once. Amazing crowd, and as you say, during the week, you know, they have their shows on I think on a Tuesday night or something like
Wednesday.
that. Wednesday night or
Wednesday,
something like
yeah.
that. And the Paris Civic Center is absolutely packed. Absolutely
Yes,
packed.
the Paris Civic Center. Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We haven't even touched on the Wrestle Monster thing. And Nubs, if you are able, Boersian, if you are able, just to stick around, because we want to discuss the Wrestle Monster 7 thing and things like that. So if you don't mind, we're gonna leave part 1 here. We're gonna go to part 2, and then we're gonna discuss the Wrestle Monster thing, and we're gonna discuss a few other things outside of wrestling, because there's definitely a different story to be told here. So for now, I'm gonna say, just hold on. We're gonna do a part 2, and the next week, guys, please join Boersian and myself. We're going to talk about Wrestle Monster 7. We're going to be talking about his fitness regime, because there's something else that I know of that he does for his fitness, and you know, we're going to be discussing that, and then more about his personal life, because there is other things as well there, and I think it's an inspiring story for all of us. So, guys, stick around. Myself and Boersian are going to be back next week for Off the Top Rope. And remember, Off the Top Rope, uncensored, uncut, and raw. See you next week.